The following is a presentation of Muddy River Sports.
Well, welcome to 11 Gold Helmets, everybody, presented by the great folks at the KC Range. I am sitting in for my good friend, Matt Schuckman, Chris Duerr, sports director here at Muddy River Sports, and this man needs no introduction. Jack Cornell joining us this week, as he often does. And before we get to your team and your performance last week, I know you're a guy that just loves football and what it does for young people, the investment that Springfield Southeast has made in their young people. I would say the same thing had it been a library or a music room. That football stadium, did you get a chance to soak that in, Jack, and just see what a great improvement that has been?
Yeah, I had never been there before, honestly, but I knew following over the summer months, them kind of announcing they were building this facility and they were opening it. I mean, it was gorgeous, like you said. I mean, I've really been impressed everywhere that we've been over in Springfield, whether it was Springfield Memorial, when we played Springfield High last year. Sacred Heart-Griffin's obviously got a great spot, but Southeast, you can tell when it's their place, they can really make it their own. We had a great place to change, a nice big changing area that was really close to the field. It was right there in their back parking lot, and yeah, it was really, really great. Just really impressed with what they're doing to invest in their young people over there.
I know from the standpoint of not being optimal, your routine was not like it has been ever. You had to be at a game at 11, or you had to be there for a kickoff that started at 11, which meant an early change to the routine. It's not a comfort level. You're dealing with a facility you hadn't been a part of before. I thought your guys handled their business incredibly well. That's a testament to the maturity of this team.
I would agree. I mean, I think we knew, kind of midway through the week last week, they were going to change the game time, obviously, because of the heat. It being a longer week already kind of throws you out of your normal routine from day to day. It makes it feel like a little bit of a longer week. But, our guys really responded the right way. I mean, they had to show up at QND at 7 a.m. to leave and drive over there on a Saturday. Getting teenagers to school on a Saturday at 7 a.m. is no small task. But, we've been really harping on a lot about resiliency, especially last week and the week before. So our guys understood, this is another opportunity to go play. It's not ideal, but we can't control it, and we want to just focus on the things that we do control. Things like our attitude, our effort, our communication. The game time doesn't change that. The weather doesn't change that. The referees, the opponent, none of that changes that. So if we can just control, and keep everything in front of us, we should be all right.
What are you like on a Friday where you don't have a football game? How was that a different vibe?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Thursday. It honestly throws my week off to the point where, my peers in the building will say, it's Friday, but in my brain, I'm like, well, it's Thursday. We're going to walk through today, So everything's kind of thrown off from that standpoint, but, I mean, everything obviously leads up to game day. So is a little bit more relaxing of a Friday, I would suppose.
I would imagine.
Because there's things that I got to accomplish the day before a game anyway, and getting ready for practice, getting ready for the game, but not having that same kind of buzz in the hallways was different.
Okay.
Obviously, when you have a game day, Friday game day is always going to be an exciting time in a high school. And last week was just kind of a normal Friday.
Jack, for you, I know Southeast had some struggles, and there was every excuse for your guys, on the outside to look in to say, hey, maybe, we could give it a lesser effort. You came out like Bud Crawford. I mean, literally from the opening kickoff, which I thought you were going to bring back. I actually parked myself in that south end zone, betting that hunch, and you nearly did it with Ollie taking the ball all the way to the 23-yard line. But just the way that they kind of approached that game with the same effort that they would at Sacred Heart-Griffin, I mean, that says an awful lot about how determined they are to be special this year.
I would agree. And I think that we make a big deal about it. It really doesn't matter who you play, who or where or when. You got to be at your best all the time. I mean, you and I have talked before about, these guys only got 9 opportunities.
Right.
If they were baseball players or basketball players, you're going to get, upwards of 30-plus opportunities to play the game. So if you only have 9, regardless of who your opponent is, you got to approach it the same way. And really, for where we want to ultimately get to, that's the approach that we got to have. A lot of respect to Springfield Southeast. I mean, they did a lot of good things that game. You could tell, even just watching a lot of their preseason footage, that their guys are excited that Coach Borders is back.
Yes.
And the program that they're building, and you mentioned the facilities, things are trending in the right direction for them. I'd imagine that Springfield is a tough place to want to compete and try to get kids to go to that school, but I think the biggest thing is consistency, right? And I think you can start to see that kind of blossoming at Springfield Southeast. But for us, we just know we can't take anything for granted. I mean, we're always trying to improve today compared to yesterday. And I think that whether it's a game or a practice or a walkthrough or whatever, we just want to try to be at our best day in and day out. Because ultimately, those are the characteristics we're trying to instill in our young people.
You touched on it. Your first defensive series was not as clean as you probably would have liked. They marched the ball a bit. But your kids bowed their neck in the back end, and that kind of, I think, set the tone for the rest of that game for that defensive unit, which was really good, particularly up front and at the very back.
I would agree. I think we knew the challenge last week was trying to contain their athletes, and they've got some obviously explosive guys in the backfield that maybe our linemen can't really chase down, but if they can flush them out of the pocket, make him make a difficult decision down the field, one of those guys in the back end can capitalize. And we'll talk about Robbie Reed later in this show for sure, but he's a guy that showed up in a big way. Braden Smith has been the same really the last 3 weeks, and guys just making it a no-fly zone for their teammates. And that, to me, is complementary football. I mean, that's team defense. We talk about running to the ball, all 11 guys making a tackle, but it's also the D lineman rushing the quarterback, getting him out of, off platform, and the secondary guys covering down the field, linebackers taking away anything short, intermediate throws. So for us, we just want to play good, sound, team, fundamental football.
From that standpoint, and I think you did that, and especially once you kind of got it cranked up on both sides of the football, the way you started offensively, you couldn't help but be pleased with sort of the momentum you came out. I mean, obviously the kickoff gives you a boost, but with the momentum you seem to sustain that entire first half.
I would agree. I mean, I think we have an explosive offense. I think that we've got a different kind of vibe this year than we've had in the past. We've got obviously a lot of playmakers who can stretch the field, but we've got a lot of guys in the backfield who can carry the rock as well, who will then open things up for those guys on the outside, and also those guys on the outside open up guys, on the inside. So for us, it really just trying to, building our identity. Who are the guys that we want to lean on? Obviously, we know we want to lean on Gavin Dolman. Everybody that's got two eyeballs can see that, right? But it's much more than just that. I mean, it's a mature quarterback who can deliver the football. It's a physical line who can block for him. It's a good running game who can open up lanes and kind of take some of the pressure off of those guys. So really just been impressed to see how everybody's working together. And I think if you come to a practice and see the way these guys compete during the week, then when they take it to a game, you can see kind of where all that's paying off.
It was 1,000 degrees out there on the field, obviously, when game time hit.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job mixing whoever received the football, whether it was your backs. And you had told me preseason, because we all knew about Oliver Triplett and kind of the coming out party he had last season. But Bearhorst and Benz had big games, and I thought you used them in really good spots.
Yeah.
That depth is important to you in that offensive backfield, is it not?
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, if football teaches you anything, it's a next man up mentality. So many years, the story of QND football is not necessarily about the 11 guys that start, but it's the first, second, third guys that come off the bench. And for us, you put a guy like Noah Benz in at tailback, and he just wants to go downhill, and he's not going to, do a lot of cutting and juking. He just wants to get the ball and go. And Abel just also has a really good feel for where he wants to take this thing, and just a really strong athlete as well. So all three of those guys provide a different dynamic. And obviously we reminisce if we didn't start with the guys up front. Those guys do a great job of opening up those lanes to make those guys' jobs a lot easier, but you can't really key on one guy.
That's a really good point. One of my favorite parts of watching you this past week, and this was the first time I got a chance to see you in person, was the play John Van Verlo made when all of a sudden Gavin Dolman is uncovered. And it was simply a hand gesture, a 3-yard pass, and Gavin Dolman turned it into an 83-yard touchdown. Yeah. When your quarterback at his development point at this point sees that, exploits that effortlessly and that efficiency, something's going right in that young man's mind at this point.
I would agree. I think a lot of that is his preparation and just understanding, where do you got to take your eyes pre-snap? I mean, you obviously want to find the matchups, and on that particular play, that was a matchup we were trying to exploit. Didn't really know it was going to work out quite as well as it did right there. Obviously, that's the greatest matchup, is having nobody over you. But John really has done a great job in the last couple of months of earning the trust of his teammates and having some of those subtle communication points where they can kind of, very quickly give it a little hand signal and say, hey, do this instead of that. And everybody's on the same page. And then once Gavin caught the ball, His best friend, Jace, is right there to set a block for him. And then, I mean, it's Katie bar the door.
That was beautiful to watch, and it was really a credit to just really intelligent football, which is what I know you like to play. I don't think that gets exploited enough at a position, though, or we talk about it enough, a position nearest and dearest to your and my heart. And you kind of touched on it, on what your offensive line did, and everybody saw Caleb's big block, obviously, what that led to. But you were able to do that consistently in this game with a defense that was throwing you some different looks.
Yeah.
Just, if you would, Jack, speak to the intelligence of the guys that you have up front and how much you rely and bank on that to set up. I mean, the skill position guys obviously get the love they deserve, but those guys are so smart and so kind of technical at their job. That's got to help everybody else look good.
Absolutely. I mean, 3 returning starters, Caleb Regan, Grayson Haw, Ethan Peterson, all 3 of these guys played a lot of football for us last year. 2 of those guys, and Caleb and Ethan, really came off the bench for us when we got banged up around this time last year. But because they were really doing a good job of preparing themselves, they were ready when their time came. And then they got a wealth of experience playing last year, and some of the leverage reps that they got. They were able to help out guys like Caleb Zook, a first-year starting left guard, Dawson Stafford, a first-year starting center, who are good, smart football players themselves, but just lack that experience and are gaining it slowly as we go along. But those guys, and because I think they're both on separate sides, really do a good job of spreading that wealth of knowledge around to those guys. They compete with each other in practice, but they're able to make adjustments, and a lot of credit to Brent Fisher and Max Snell, our O-line coaches, who can make those in-game adjustments for those guys and speak the language so that they understand, and they go out there and just play fast and not have to think.
We're going to take a quick break right here. When we come back, it's awards time with this guy right here, Jack Cornell, on 11 gold helmets, presented by the great folks at the KC Range.
It is fall, there's a chill in the air, there's also going to be footballs in the air here at the range. 29 TVs outside, 13 TVs inside, and we're going to have all of your NFL games. We're also going to have local games, so if you want to catch some high school or college games, you come here. Also, you asked for it, we brought it. Blue Moon is now on tap. And don't forget, you can always rent out our patio, private, just for you right here at the range.
And welcome back to 11 Gold Helmets, everybody, presented proudly by the great folks at the KC Range. Jack Cornell, obviously a week like last week where the statistics were great and balanced, where the performance across the board was incredibly strong in a shutout, blowout type win. There's a lot of guys worth celebrating. Let's talk about some of those guys, first of all, that stuck out to your mind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, every week when we hand out these awards, we always start with, in my opinion, what's the most important award, and that's the Scout Team Player of the Week award. And it's usually an award in our coaches' meetings that really makes you think, because there's a lot of really good performances and practices. But guys that maybe not necessarily are playing lights out, but guys who are just willing to step up and do whatever it takes to help the team win. We have a junior receiver and secondary player, Braden Earhart, who's really been doing a great job of just wanting to get better at the little things, wanting to be a contributor, and putting himself in a position in practice to get out there and to get those reps. I think a guy like that really does a great job of trying to, put himself out there, making his teammates better, but also making himself better as well. Offensively, we could have gone a lot of different ways, and again, it was a really fun conversation to have with our coaches. Ultimately, when you carry the ball twice and you score 2 touchdowns on long runs, Noah Benz took the cake for sure. And even after he scored, he was able to get down on one knee and say a quick prayer, which was really awesome to see, and something we highly encourage guys like that to do. So obviously could have given it to a lot of guys on offense. So I think that a fun little competition is starting to stir up with all those guys on that side of the ball with who can be the guy that can really pull away from everybody else. Defensively, it was kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Robbie Reed, we talked about, 2 huge interceptions. The first play of the second half to turn the ball over like that, that kind of sudden change for them to give us the ball back and go down and score right away, that was great. Ethan Peterson was a guy that jumped out on film for us, playing end, playing tackle, whatever we needed. 2 plays in a row, he ran down the quarterback for a sack. But his relentless effort all day long was just very evident on film, and he was a guy that really stood out. Sam Clouser was our third one, a defensive end, a big guy who's an excellent pitcher in baseball, but a guy that just really understands football and is really becoming a much, much better, well-rounded football player in his own right. He is opposite of Gavin Flesner, who draws a lot of attention because of the type of player that he is, but Sam is able to exploit a lot of those matchups as well, which has been really great. Special teams-wise, you mentioned Oliver Triplett with the opening kickoff. He also had really technically 2 punt returns for touchdowns. One of them got called back.
I saw that.
He brings it all the way back, and they line up to punt again because we ran into the kicker. And what does he do? He takes it back to the house again. So I think that's what we had to get Noah Benz in the game after that because I was a little bit winded. But to his credit, I mean, he went and he scored. But not to be outdone, Colin Gettenbacher, who is an excellent soccer player in his own right, also kind of moonlights as a kicker for us as well. He got some varsity reps for really the first time in his career. Had some touchbacks, was placing the ball really well. Just as somebody that, as a kicker, is really fluid in his job and is really good for us, I think, to have that kind of weapon on our special teams.
We'll spin it ahead in just a few minutes to the task at hand, but looking back at last week, did you have a sense this was coming? Was it a good week of practice? You touched on the scout guys and kind of what the energy they brought. When all of that comes together, did you kind of sense that this was the Saturday that you were going to have in advance of actually going out and putting down what I would argue was a pretty darned A-plus type effort for your team across the board?
Yeah, I would, considering all of the, distractions that we had to deal with last week, the game change, the early leave time, the heat, being out of our routine, there was just a lot of things that made me wonder, all right, can we play to the level that we ultimately ended up playing? And I think, as you alluded to earlier, it's a lot of credit to our guys and just their maturity and how they handled their business, both last week at practice, but also in the trip over there, in the pregame, just doing what they had to do. I think they had a lot of confidence going in, but just to get out and play, I mean, these guys are playmakers, from all over the board in all 3 phases. These guys just want to play ball, and they want to play really well. And so I think that's why they got the result they did.
Let's put a bow on this last part of the Southeast game. Biggest area of growth for you that you thought your team in week 3 that you were most satisfied with? Biggest thing that maybe stuck in your craw a little bit when you went back and evaluated film that you think that you need to improve upon, Jack, to get better because the meat of the schedule starts now?
It sounds a bit cliche, but we just need more reps.
Okay.
We had 28 offensive plays on Saturday.
Not a lot.
We had 21 first half plays the week before. So, and you had kind of alluded to it as well in your week 4 preview that you published on Muddy River Sports. Have we been tested yet? That's where I'm wondering. It's like, okay, we've played really well to this point. Our guys are, healthy. We're in a good spot. But as I've told them all week, like this game that we're going to play against Sacred Heart-Griffin is not going to be some running clock. It's not going to be some 28 plays and it's over. You're going to have to go and earn it. But I think that in even just saying that to our guys and seeing their reaction, they're ready for this kind of challenge. They're excited for a great team like Sacred Heart-Griffin for us to go over there and really be able to test our mettle. These guys work incredibly hard year-round, and so many things that you and the media or the fans don't necessarily see, that they work as hard as they can to get the payoffs that they're trying to get. And so this week, we're really going to have our first crack at doing that.
We can't wait to talk about what is ahead, and we're going to do that when 11 Gold Helmets continues, as presented by the great folks at the KC Range.
It is fall, there's a chill in the air, there's also going to be footballs in the air here at the range. 29 TVs outside, 13 TVs inside, and we're going to have all of your NFL games. We're also going to have local games, so if you want to catch some high school or college games, you come here. Also, you asked for it, we brought it. Blue Moon is now on tap. And don't forget, you can always rent out our patio, private, just for you right here at the range.
And welcome back to 11 Gold Helmets, presented by the fine folks at the KC Range. Jack Cornell, this is a crossroads moment on the schedule for your team because obviously everyone remembers, including the good folks in Springfield, what you did to SHG when they came here last season. Had a chance to talk to the great folks at 1450 yesterday. They're all very remembering of what happened here last year and still a little bit in a kind of bad shock about what you were able to do. One of the finest football games I've seen you coach and your team play last year. Do you know you're getting the best punch possible from SHG this week? And in theory, based on what that program has been, that's got to be concerning.
Well, no question we know that we're going to get their best shot. We would expect to get their best shot regardless of what happened the year before. I just think the job that Coach Allison has done there for years, and I know him and a lot of their coaches very well. They're very good friends of mine. This is a team that really wins the right way, and they have been challenged at this point. Obviously playing CBC week 1. They go to Mascoutah week 2. Last week they play a really good Jacksonville team. So, I think we know that we're going to get their best shot. And for us, a big thing that we talked about this week is trying to play mistake-free football. I mean, we want to eliminate as many mistakes we possibly can. The team that makes the fewest should be the one that wins. But I think at the end of the day, like we talked about, we got to control what we control.
Okay.
We can't really do anything about what anybody feels like, but what we got to do is just play at our best and be at our best when it comes time to kick off.
You talk about that week 1 loss for SHG to CBC and how, that's like playing a pro team, essentially what it feels like.
Yeah.
They've done a really good job, and you're not surprised by that because, as you said, John Allison is as good as they come. Just when you look at that program and what they've accomplished over the 3 games, they kind of hemmed in a really explosive Jacksonville offense this week. What stands out to you about SHG just on initial blush?
They've got big guys up front. I think their offensive line is really well coached. Defensively, they got a bunch of different guys that they rotate in. I think their quarterback, Cam Brinkman's in his 2nd year starting there. Last year did some really good things against us, and you can tell on film he's a really talented athlete who can not only throw the ball down the field, but can also hold it and run and make you pay too. And what's really evident on film is just how they set plays up for him to run and for him to be successful. He's not standing in the pocket making these full field, air raid type reads, but he's going to get the ball out quick, and we're going to have to run to where that ball is at and try to contain these playmakers who not only are on the outside, but in the backfield as well. They've got good tight ends, they've got good receivers, they've got a couple of different running backs that they're going to put in the game. So they're really, their playbook is very deep. Their playmakers are all around, and then defensively, they just play aggressive. They fly to the football, and they really try to keep everything in front of them, and they're going to be very disciplined and balanced in what they do. And so it's a fun challenge for sure. Games like this are really why you want to play. You're going to be really in the trenches with one of the best teams in Central Illinois. And we know that we're going to really be challenged and see who we are.
Well, and you talk about great facilities. This is about as good as it gets, and you're going to be the center of attention, not just here, but of the entire Springfield area, because people obviously know what you did last season and know what the stakes are this time around. From your standpoint, looking forward at this game, how do you don't approach it any differently, I don't think, but you do know it does have the feeling of a Week 11 game. And after the first 3 weeks, I think your schedule has stepped up. How badly do your kids just need this moment?
I think this is, like I said, this is what you work for.
Yeah.
And when we have morning workouts in the summer and we practice in the 90-degree heat outside, it's for games like this. It's to earn the right to play in big-time football games. And not every program gets to experience that. Not every program gets to go play in Springfield and have the game broadcast live on ABC, locally. So I just think what this game provides our young people is a really exceptional opportunity that, is an extension of the classroom, right? These kids work really hard and do things the right way. And for them to be in a position to play in a big-time football game, like in a Week 11, Week 12 type of atmosphere, in a hostile environment, this is what gets you going, right? Yeah. And there's not much coffee's been need to be drank this week because guys are just going to be amped up, ready to go.
This is the reason you went to the Central State 8 when people told you maybe it wasn't the smartest or savviest football move for your schedule on the bottom line. This is what you wanted.
No doubt. We want to be playing in big-time football games early, middle, and late of the season, and we want to be challenged. And I think that we certainly found a great home in this conference and teams and coaches that do have everybody's best interest at heart and do run great programs. And so for us, it seems like it's not that far to go. I think some people think, Springfield's quite a trek away. Some of the road trips that we've been on, whether it's to Richmond, Burton, or my first year, going all the way to Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah.
Springfield is a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a pitching wedge away,
Yes.
So, but no, we know that where we're going, it's another Catholic school in this diocese, obviously a really great football program run by great men and great players within it. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. But this is a moment that I think our guys have been preparing for. And this is what they want. They, at the end of the day, want to be in tight ball games and ones that you have to really earn the right to win.
Well, and you touched on it, the parochial community there. This is a spotlight moment for the greater development of the soul and the spirit of your young men, too. And I think, and both sides of the ledger, just being a Quincy Notre Dame alum and having that moment here, that is a special twist on football that not everybody gets. Your young men are aware and obviously present in that, are they not?
That's right. When we get there on Friday, we're going to be stopping at St. Agnes Catholic Church, which is right next to Sacred Heart-Griffin. Father Dan Bergbauer, who used to be the pastor of St. Peter's when I was in high school, he's there. So, there's that familiarity. Obviously, Father Samples was there before at St. Agnes, and so he's been rolling out the red carpet as well. But the parochial side of this thing is pretty special as well. Last year, the bishop came, Bishop Tom Paprocki came out, and I got to meet him for the first time, and that was really special. And I think that when, men like that see what we do on the field and how much our young people care about it, I think that really validates a lot of the stuff that we do.
That's a phenomenal part of this that I think sometimes gets a little glossed in all of the football interest. So kudos to you and your staff, and kudos to SHG for raising incredible young men and Catholic young men in a lot of cases who are going to be a part of this wonderful celebration of life, because that's
right.
What it is.
Yep.
Football is a celebration of life. Now then, I got to ask you the hard question. What has to happen right for you to win that celebration of these young men's lives in a really tough football game against a team that has all the goods?
Yeah, it seems very simple. It seems like I'm going to give you a coaching answer, but it's truly this. I mean, we have to block well. Yeah. We have to stop their guys from tackling our guys as best we can. We have to tackle well. They got a lot of different playmakers that's going to touch the football, and we got to contain their athletes as best we can. We got to run to the ball and not let them have big breakaway drives. We want to make them earn it as well. And we got to hold on the football. I mean, turnovers are the one stat that really decide the outcome of any game. And so for us, haven't played a game yet where we have had no turnovers. We've obviously played a lot of games where we've created many turnovers. So for us, being on the positive side of the turnover differential, that's going to be big. So we got to block, we got to tackle, we got to hold on the football. Everything that Vince Lombardi's been saying ever since he was knee high to a grasshopper, that's what we got to do.
The guys at 1450 kind of touched on this fact, and I kind of picked up on it after they said it. This is probably a football team that's the most like you of anybody you've played, and maybe during the course of this season, the most reflective of who you are. That's an opportunity as well.
I would agree. And even, watching some of the film, a lot of the plays are the same. A lot of the schematics are the same, the philosophies are the same. And I think that when you're, looking into a mirror basically in a program just like you're going to be challenged. But again, it's not necessarily about them as much as it is about us controlling what we control and us trying to be at our best on Friday night.
Well, fantastic job last week, Jack. Fantastic job to this point this season, and we wish you the very best of luck coming up on a game that everybody in this entire region is going to have eyes on, because it's that big a deal, and that's a credit not just to your program and all the work you and everybody who's come before you has done, but to the Leonard family and Ken Leonard and what he initially established over there, and Coach Allison picking up that ball and running with it as well. So does football get any better than this?
No, it doesn't.
This is phenomenal. Again, Jack Cornell, everybody, best of luck this man. Huge game coming up. We'll have all your coverage on the Muddy River Blitz coming up Saturday morning. This has been 11 Gold Helmets presented by the great folks at the KC Range.
Go Raiders.
Muddy River Sports. Our home, our sports.